Well, I have a clock right behind y'all, so that's what I see.
Oh.
It's 7 o'clock.
All right, Andrew, so are we on? Welcome, everyone, to the City of New Carrollton Council meeting for Wednesday, February the 18th, 2026. We are going to start this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. And as I often do, I ask Lincoln to lead us, our member in the military.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lincoln. We've been doing a little series here, getting to know each of us, letting you get to know us, get to know your council people. And we did it alphabetically. We had Agnelli, and we had Brianna, and now it's Cynthia, the ABCs, and I'm playing on next month. You want to come for that. But Cynthia tonight is going to introduce herself to the audience and to us.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cynthia D.D. Mills. My nickname from 6th grade was Cat because we found a kitten, and I kept it in my lunchbox all weekend long and brought it back to school for a week. And the teacher, I had nuns, kept hearing it. And she kept checking this little boy saying, "Stop making that noise, stop making that noise." And finally somebody busted on me. And I'm walking down the hall carrying the cat, and I called my parents, and my mother and father just looked at me. My father took the cat and went home. And Tabby and I were together until about 12 years. I went to college, all of a sudden, Tabby disappeared. So I'm a 5-year breast cancer survivor. I'm a mother. I'm a mother, 3, stepmother, 1. I have 9.5 grandkids. My son is due in April. My step granddaughter, who is going to be named Cynthia. I love gardening, growing all kinds of things in my house, in my living room. I have cat, my kitten, Cheddar. Anybody who's called me has talked to Cheddar on the telephone. Yeah,
Cheddar was on the council in 2021. I think.
Yes, yes. Cheddar would sit right there doing our Zoom calls. I serve on 7 different organizations in the church. I am a Catholic. I have dirt on my face today. I don't like ironing. I will clean the house, cut the grass, wash the car. Do not ask me to iron anything. Nothing. I don't like phony and selfish people. And I attended Elizabeth Seton right there in Bladensburg. I have a BA in journalism from Gannon University and a master's in organizational communications from Bowie State. I did 43 years of Department of Education as a management analyst and a record manager. I was president of the National AFGE for 10 years, chief negotiator for CBA every time we had one, which was 3 times. And I retired after 42 years of service. I decided to come and work for the people in New Carrollton because I used to come to the council meetings and have arguments with the council and past couple council presidents and chairmen and stuff. So I decided if I want it done, I'll do it myself. And my goal is to help the people. I'm not worrying about parties or anything. I want to help the people. And I guess I've been blessed because I was working during the pandemic, helping the people. And then we had other things. My thing is I'm a serving person. I'm not going to sit here and talk, are you politics with you? I'm going to ask you what you need and how can I help you? And that's it. That's it. That's about me. I traveled just all over the world. During my 42 years with the government, I audited, I think I've been to every state except 2, which is Alaska and Hawaii. I've been to just about every European place. In fact, when the pandemic hit, I was in Poland. So getting back in here was kind of rough, but I love to travel. And since we have the man in the White House, I have not done any traveling because I'm afraid I might get out, might not get back. And I'll be leaving in April for Costa Rica. And I want to go to China in August, but the baby's gonna be here. So Chinese food, baby, Chinese baby. So any questions you have, I'll answer now. Just don't ask for money. Thank you.
It's
Thank
a
you.
very full life. Thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna move this agenda just a little bit. Residents, I think we can get to, get their concerns after we get to the bike connectivity study. Let them go a little bit earlier, and then the residents might have questions on that anyway. Is the bike group ready to present us?
Yes. Hi, this is Maha Tariq, Community Planning Division, Prince George's County. This. the microphone. Hi, can you hear me? Yeah. Fine, good. So this is Maha Tariq. I'm from Community Planning Division, Prince George's County, Planning Department. This study has been funded by PAMC program, which is, planning assistance for municipalities and communities, which is managed by MNCPPC, which is Maryland National Capital Parks for Planning, Parks and Planning Commission. Initially, when we started this study, we started off with site observation, multiple site visits, which has been shared with you in the memo. And then we also conducted residents survey for several months. That was out, and we gathered all the feedback, which is also in the memo due to the short time duration that we have for presenting. VHB, two consultants are here with me from VHB, who has diligently worked for past 1 year on the study. And they have provided recommendations for all the connectivity issues within the city of New Carrollton. And they will highlight the recommendations on pedestrian and bicyclist sidewalks, bike lanes, trails, and other shared pathways. So I'll hand it over to you. Thank you.
All right, just bear with me for a second. We're just gonna share our presentation here. All right. So we have both screens, one's a little larger than the other. All right, let's do this. So I'm Eric Tang, a project manager from VHB, the consultant hired to assist with this MNCPPC, planning, community planning with this effort. So we're excited to present our outcomes of the study and ultimately it'll culminate in a final plan for the city. But this is an effort over the past few months, like Maha said, that started off with the existing conditions analysis, which will highlight in the next few moments. My colleague Johnny Stern here will provide those highlights. But then we'll also talk about a number of countermeasures or number of activities that the city could potentially implement in the years ahead. By no means are we saying that everything needs to be done right away. We want to provide a comprehensive set of recommendations you could tie to other elements that you have or other activities they have ongoing in the city. So we'll enhance the slides here. Bear with me for a second. So like Maha said, we have a study background. We're going to talk about existing conditions, we'll talk about survey findings. We'll talk about some of the data analytics that helped inform us about some of the priorities for the city. And then we'll talk about the countermeasures. So there's us. And Maha already mentioned that this is a PAMC effort. And then I'm going to turn it over now to Johnny to go over some of the existing conditions.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you all for your attention tonight. So this study considers connectivity for pedestrians and bicyclists, which are active transportation users. And it also considers other modes of active transportation, like people on the scooters you see, or wheelchairs. We were all thinking of those. So the purpose is to identify where there's gaps that prevent people from getting from A to B in New Carrollton and beyond using active transportation modes. And what you all should do with this is incorporate our findings into future plans, like your capital improvements programs, your current safety action plan that you're doing, which is great, and any other funded projects to improve safety and connectivity in New Carrollton for all people. So first of all, we would like to thank you for providing some really essential guidance at the front regarding the existing conditions and where you thought there were issues with connectivity. During our site visits and the city-led tour, we made some observations And one of the really great things is that for a city built at its time and like New Carrollton, we have a really great sidewalk network here. You can get a lot of places in the city using a sidewalk. So that's a real strength. And there have also been improvements in pedestrian safety, like speed feedback signs, raised crosswalks. All of those are in the right direction in improving connectivity and safety. However, at the same time, there are a few barriers and opportunities that we can use to improve our infrastructure. New Carrollton definitely has some hills, and that is a barrier for walking and biking. At the same time, it might funnel people towards places where we can put the most effective countermeasures so they actually get used the most, because those are the paths people want to take. Briars Mill Run is another barrier that a lot of people we talked to said prevented them from getting from A to B. So that's something we're looking at. And overall, we're trying to build a bikeway network of bike lanes and bike trails that lets people get to where they want to go, like parks and schools and stores. And that's the goal, is to get people from A to B using a healthy, sustainable mode, which is biking or walking or using another mode. So a really important part of this process was the survey. We had the privilege to ask 62 New Carrolltonians about their opinions on biking and walking. And we got responses from all over the city, all different types of demographics and levels of engagement, which was really great. The questions on the survey ranged from ranking questions, there were multiple choice questions, there were even some questions online where you could drag and drop a marker on a map to show where you thought there were questions or there were issues. So we considered all of those in our findings. And some of the major findings were that recreation is a big people New Carrolltonians walk and ride. So that's something we want to pay attention to, providing them those good connected recreation trails. Overall, they were more comfortable walking than biking. As I mentioned before, New Carrollton has an excellent sidewalk network, so it makes sense that people would feel comfortable about walking. Bike lanes, there are some, but there's definitely opportunities to make them more interconnected to let people get from A to B. And throughout the whole survey, a common trend was that bike lanes and crosswalks everywhere were desired, which is great that New Carrollton wants pedestrian infrastructure everywhere. And again, we focused on some locations that people in common recognized as having challenges. On top of that, people expressed concern about lighting and safety, particularly against heavy traffic, because if people don't feel safe and comfortable using pedestrian and biking infrastructure, then they're not going to use it anyway, no matter what we improve about it with infrastructure improvements. So those are all things that we considered. Throughout this process, we also used an innovative software tool called Replica. So this is an online tool that uses travel data to say where people travel the most, how long they travel, how far they travel, and it can tell whether you're in a car or you're walking or you're biking. So we did this analysis for New Carrollton, and as you can see on that map, sorry it's a bit small, Good Luck Road and Lamont Drive had the highest proportion of pedestrian and bicyclist trips within the city. So Good Luck Road especially is really important for east-west traffic to get from other cities in the county to New Carrollton and around New Carrollton. Based on how many active transportation users use that road, it's important to make countermeasures and improvements there to let people get by safely. And another finding of the survey was that 23% of car trips stayed within the city. And I know this is just a statistic, so you're probably asking, what does this mean? Those are the trips that we want to convert because they're short enough within the city that you can actually convert them to walking and biking. It's not like you're going to the middle of Washington, D.C., where it's not realistic for people to walk and bike. So those are the trips that we want to convert to active transportation. So how are we going to do this? We have some countermeasures that we thought of, and a countermeasure is just a way to improve a current issue, which is the lack of safety for pedestrians and bicyclists. So a big one is bike racks and Capital Bike Share. If you're not already aware, Capital Bike Share is a program around the whole DMV region where you can rent bikes for a short period of time and get places using that mode. This gray area here is places all around New Carrollton throughout the region that have tons of capital bike share racks right now. But unfortunately, New Carrollton doesn't. That's that red square. So in order to tap into this huge network of regional connectivity for active transportation, we want to expand that gray area to include New Carrollton and let people get all over the region using biking. But you don't want to just put bike racks anywhere. You want to put them near places that people actually use them, like schools or parks. At the same time, you want to respect pedestrians. You don't want to block a wheelchair access route, for example, because you put a bike rack in the middle of the sidewalk. And this is important, again, because our survey found that 45% of respondents don't bike. And this represents an opportunity. These are people who could bike. We make them become bicyclists if we increase our bicycle infrastructure. So they're an important target group for our countermeasures. And New Carrollton has a real strength and opportunity because it's located at the nexus of so many transit modes like Amtrak, WMATA Metro. Once you bring all these together, that's really good for active transportation because you can actually get to where you want to go using so many modes that all converge in New Carrollton. But you can't just put racks, you also need to put places and routes that people can get between the racks. So that's why bicycle facilities that are safe and connected are so important. You can have bike lanes on the street. You can also have bike trails or shared use paths. There's a real variety of bicycle trails, and we're considering all of them for our recommendations. You want to make sure that they're safe. For example, on a major road with lots of truck traffic, a bicyclist in a bike lane on the road might not feel safe if there's a truck whizzing past them at 40 miles per hour. But on a more residential street, that might be okay, or maybe even on the street with a special marking. And you don't want to put bike racks where there's no bicyclists because you want to meet them where they are and best serve their needs, right? So it's important to look at where people are currently biking and then improve the bicyclist infrastructure there. And you want to incorporate the regional, think about it on a regional scale with biking, especially because you can go pretty far while bicycling. You want to think about where around New Carrollton you want to be able to bike, those parks, those schools, those stores, and provide infrastructure to do that safely. And in New Carrollton, some examples of bike infrastructure could be on Westbrook and Carrollton Parkway. Those are pretty wide roads, so there's a lot of real estate that you could improve or put a bike lane there, maybe on one side of the street. Or, for example, on Good Luck Road, we talked about how important that is for regional connectivity. So putting a bike facility on Good Luck Road would do a long way for getting bicyclists from east of the city to west of the city. And that has implications for the whole region. So now I'm going to turn it over to Eric to go over some more countermeasures.
Thanks, Johnny. And you know, definitely would be remiss not to mention, right, with the Purple Line arriving at some point, you're going to have a whole new set of opportunities for commuting, right? So you might have University of Maryland students who choose to live in New Carrollton and commute, as an example, right? So providing those opportunities or additional connectivity with a bike share and bike racks, or just even improved pedestrian connectivity will help those new residents of the community, or those who live here who need to commute to College Park and other destinations, Silver Spring, et cetera. So, whereas Johnny mentioned some specific locations, what I'm going to go through now are some more systemic type of treatments, or systematic treatments, excuse me, where we could look at a community scale, how can we improve the environment for those who choose to walk and bike. And you know, one element is placemaking and wayfinding. So this is an example of Hyattsville's signage network. You know, so once your trails are in place, let's say, you can put this signage to direct your travelers to the destinations of your community. You know, you're shopping on Annapolis Road, the schools in your city, the parks, etc. Lighting, Johnny had mentioned that was a concern expressed by a number of residents or survey respondents. So this is some example of lighting along a path in in Hyattsville. We recognize that there are some paths that to connect residential streets within the city, right? That you're going in between lots. So, improving the lighting in those areas and other places throughout the city help to improve the perceived safety of your commuting public. I guess the challenge also is providing a power source. So making sure that you have that connection to power the lighting that would be installed. And then just generally speaking, reducing vehicle speed. We already recognize that the city has already placed the speed feedback signs, the raised crosswalks like this one shown in the picture here in front of Vericope Park. So providing those other raised crosswalks as well and other speed reducing treatments can improve safety for all users. And also, putting curb extensions, so making the crossing distance shorter at intersections, that can lessen the exposure of the pedestrian as they're crossing the street, shortening that distance. And just general pedestrian infrastructure. Yes, you have sidewalks all over the city, but there are some potential gaps that we still see. So we're talking about, let's say at a T intersection, let's say at Lamont and Riverdale Road, a T intersection, right? There's a crosswalk only on one side of Riverdale Road. So, if you had crosswalks on both sides, so that the pedestrian doesn't have to go all the way to the other side of the street just across the road, right? Providing the parity of choices for the traveling public. I think that's also we feel that's an important implementation for the community. And then, as Johnny alluded to earlier, just regional connectivity. We recognize some members here in the audience, of the public here in the audience today, they expressed in the meetings that we had about regional connectivity, and we certainly want to make sure that the recommendations also provide acknowledgments of how these improvements can improve folks their travel from A to B across the region. And then also just acknowledging that it's also not just using city funds, right? If there are opportunities for you to partner with your neighboring jurisdictions and the county to get things done, whether it be funded from federal funds or state funds, we work together, maybe pool the monies and then have maybe establish some sort of regional trail or have some sort of a series of systemic treatments. So like you can all invest in a similar treatment. So let's say you're all trying to invest in raised crosswalks. So if you're all 3 communities pool their money together to install a series of raised crosswalks or improve signage or lighting, maybe you can pull the funds together to get that done. So yeah, that was a glimpse of the types of countermeasures that we're thinking about. Ultimately, we are culminating in a final report later this spring that has a series of tables that outline the treatments that we described, as well as potential locations. We're not saying that they must go here and here, but we recommend that these treatments could be applied at these particular locations for your consideration. We recognize that you have a safety action plan that you're being developed. You guys met yesterday about that effort, if I recall. So you're tying this effort to the outcomes of that effort, as well as other efforts across the city. We want to make sure that anything comes out of this is tied in to those other efforts. So yeah, with that, that's a quick overview. I think we're at the end of our allotted time, but again, Ma is the county project manager for the effort. I'm the project manager from the consultant side. But yeah, we thank you for your time. And
well, you're going to take a couple questions, right?
Yeah, please,
I'm
yes.
an avid bike rider. I have 1,000 questions, but I'm going to limit it to 2 per person because we do have an agenda here tonight. So I'm going to start with, I'll go last and I'll keep my questions short. Cynthia, you have any questions about the biking presentation?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Lincoln, do you have any questions? I'll give you 2.
I probably only need one actually.
Okay.
So thank you very much. 23% of car trips stayed right here in the city. And you made the point that you would like to encourage people to walk and take other means of transport instead of driving. Can you give us some examples of what you were talking about?
Yeah. So, we talked about lighting. We talked about lack of bike trails. Let's say those are 2 examples, right? So we can make it more attractive for one to get from A to B within the city. If they express there is a challenge, we're going to end up in the middle of traffic, or we just find it very hostile, to get to the best way, let's say, right? So how can you improve that trip? So we make improve the lighting, improve the pedestrian crossings, just make it more hospitable for the user to get to where they want to go.
Make it easier for them to do what exactly it is that you want them to do.
Right. Their day-to-day, you know, errands, right? Make it easier for them. And so that's really an outcome that we want to see.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is
Okay,
everyone.
Brianna?
My question builds on my colleague's question here. Was that 23% number derived from the survey respondents?
That was from the replica data. So they looked at the trips within the city and then found that number for that.
How does that work? Like, how does it know where people are going?
Sure, we all have cell phones in our pockets, so there's anonymized cell phone data, big data. I know, that could be a whole different discussion, but using that information, they're able to look at general patterns the general trips that are made within a certain geography. And they're also marrying it with census data and other demographic data. They're able to, just general population, like it doesn't get to this level like, Joe Public, went from A to B. Again, it's anonymized, right? So it's basically looking at tracks, census tracks of groups, neighborhood level information. So it doesn't get to this address travel from A to B. So it's a generalization of where travel is being made from one part of the city to another. So the city's broken down into like different sectors, if you will.
Can I ask a follow-up on that?
Oh, there's a follow-up.
Okay, that's it. I promise it's the last one. So thinking about my own experience, my in-city trips are to the grocery store. And when I had a child that was school age, driving him to and from school. Both of those things are not things that I would want to do walking, right? Because you don't want to carry all your groceries, nor, with schools about, getting them there on time and so on. So how would you help? I would imagine that a lot of the in-city traffic is going to be similar types of stuff, but other than friends visiting friends, I can't imagine there's many other reasons why someone's traveling from one part of New Carrollton to another. How would we encourage folks doing those types of activities to walk?
I think you need to start small. Like, I totally understand what you're saying about trying to get to school on time. I did that all the time in school, but it starts with one day after school. It's a nice day out. It's a nice spring day. And you decide to walk home instead of driving. And I think it's something you build like almost at a social or a cultural level, and you need to provide the physical infrastructure to underlie all of that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agnella, you have any questions?
I've been looking through and I don't see a list of specific recommendations. Did I hear that this is just the first part of a bigger project?
Yeah, it's the first part. We have a report that's due later this spring that outlines all the recommendations. So it builds on the slides that you just saw. It builds on the existing conditions that we detailed, and it'll basically have a series of tables with it outlining the various treatments, recommendations, and then potential locations. So if we say, let's say a bike path, and then we would say potentially on Westbrook or Carrollton Parkway, and just as example locations, and provide a example cross section, like how can you fit that bike lane within the existing curb to curb width of Westbrook. It's pretty wide. You can have traveling. You can pretty much fit two cars even before you have the parking lane, right? So can we use that real estate to fit that bike lane? So is that level of detail that we would provide in that report? So it's listing recommendations plus some schematics just to show how things would work.
Okay, spring, can you be a little more specific? Because I'm trying to make this information actionable sooner rather than later. And we're going to discuss a budget in April and May. And so if we get a series of recommendations and we don't have them in consideration for the discussion of the budget, we still could talk about in general concept, what are we allocating in the budget for some of whatever comes here in terms of this study. So what is your timeline?
So the timeline is, it'll take at least 3 more months from here to get all the recommendations and make it public.
Okay.
So, and share with the city. Because VHB will be submitting it to us, then we'll have our internal review process that takes around like 2 months. And I believe they would also need 1 month to wrap up. So at least 3 months from now.
Okay, so in terms of our budget process, we wouldn't get the specific recommendations. The most we could do is pick a global figure. And within the big plans, if the city decides it's a priority, to have a bucket to work on implementing some of the recommendations. That's a discussion then to have without having specifics. But thank you for the timeline and the work. Is the participation 62 surveys something that is in range of what you have experienced before, or is it lower?
No, that's a great question. We've had many internal discussions about that. It would have, we've seen both ends of the spectrum. So given the time that we had, and then also, Lois helped us out immensely on a variety of ways to reach out. The mayor's message. We had the Facebook posts, Instagram, I believe. So
Community
Community Day. So we were able to go physically in September. Donnie was there along with Lois, Maha. But yeah, it'd be nice to have more. Like I would love to have seen triple digits, but at least we got in the upper 2 digits. So, and I think there's opportunities for further engagement as specific ideas come to fruition. Like we really want to implement a particular treatment in a series in a set of locations. I think there's opportunity to have further engagement to build upon what you're trying to recommend. Like right now, we're trying to get to that slightly higher level plan to give you some key recommendations. So you don't have like 100 things. Focus on like, let's say 15 things. Don't quote me on the number, but like at least give you a prioritized set of things that you can then carry forward to the next step of implementation.
Yeah, there are 2 things in this. As a county person, I've been engaged with many reports with different cities, and anything past like 50 plus we consider it a good number of getting back. The other thing in this specific report was that I was also talking to Eric that we were able to engage those residents who actually bike themselves in the area, and we were able to find key findings from them. Like what are the key issues in the area? So that was a really plus point for us.
Thank you.
And I'll just have the one question that you're talking about inside New Carrollton, and is that I do a lot of riding, but it's outside of New Carrollton, and I have to get out of New Carrollton. And every place I look, it's dangerous to get out of New Carrollton. You can't, Good Luck Road is dangerous. You talk about the University of Maryland, that's a hill that people aren't going to climb. You can't ride on the sidewalk, that's against the law. There's no shoulder for bikes on Good Luck Road. And 450 has a sign, bikes may have the whole lane, but you're still going to get killed. You don't ride on 450. So if you want to ride Bowie, and I use Good Luck Road to get out of town, I use Good Luck Road the other direction. But Maryland National Park and Planning over the years, and Eric Olson and some people in the county have talked about connecting us to the networks. Like if you put a bike rack in College Park, you can go to the airport museum, you can get on a trail, you can ride to DC. If you put a bike rack in New Carrollton, you can ride to the library and the schools. That's just around town. So I agree with Brianna's observation. And what do you do within town? But anyway, the question is, are you doing anything with the larger connectivity to the rest of the world?
Right. So that goes to the replica information that we talked about. We talked about the regional connectivity. We had it. That's individual slide closer to the end. We also had Johnny's remarks earlier. We spoke to the gentleman over there about the regional connectivity during the public engagement meetings for this project. And we recognize that as a big opportunity. So when I mentioned earlier about pooling funds, if you can work with the county and all the adjacent localities to come up with a common funding source to fund a key regional project, I think there's a regional benefits that can be achieved.
It's an old goal, but thank you for being here with us.
Yes,
And,
thank you so much. Really interesting.
We're going to turn this over to the residents now. I have item number 4 on the agenda is residents' concern. If any resident would like to go to the podium and share any concerns with them. Thank you guys again. Make sure you use the podium because there's a microphone up there.
Can we ask them questions?
I'm not getting you.
You can't hear me?
You sound really far away. So it's
Oh, okay. Go ahead, ask one question.
This one. I'm first, she's second.
Is this for the bike people or just residents' concerns?
Connectivity.
Oh, go ahead. That's fine. Then they can stay for the question.
I'm Shirley Brown.
But we don't want them to go too far.
Yeah,
Because they gotta, no, I'm saying because they have to answer on that.
Yes. The one concern I have is regarding some streets here in New Carrollton City, or most streets, have cars parked on two sides of the road.
Right.
How would residents benefit by biking and having a pathway to get to their home from Westbrook or another avenue that you mentioned?
Sure.
You need the mic.
Yeah, I was gonna switch spots.
Or you can hand that, yeah.
Well,
I can
he's
move.
fine.
Yeah. That's a great question. That's why we mentioned Westbrook and Carrollton Parkway as two initial spots, because traditionally we've seen bike lanes on the right side of the road. But if you actually have on the left side of the road, along on the side of the of Briar's Run, you're not blocking the driveways. I think that's also a concern, right? Because oftentimes we've seen bike facilities and it impeding, or it ends up being a conflict with driveways, right? So the other side of Westbrook or the other side of Carrollton against the water, there are no curb cuts, right? Only the pedestrian crossings at the various intersections, right? So that's why we see that one as a key opportunity. But for just the general residential streets with driveways, that's in a situation where maybe you won't have a dedicated or a separated bike lane, and more be like markings that this is a preferred path. So you can still have, there are other places where you have parked vehicles and then you have that shared lane marking, right? If you recall, you look at the pavement, you have that symbol with a bicycle and the arrows pointing. So the driver recognizes that a bicyclist, the road is being shared by a vehicle and a bicyclist. So you wouldn't block the driveway, it's just indicating this is a preferred path. So it's,
Well, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
yeah, no problem.
I'm going to interrupt. Specifically, I wanted to know the streets
Mhm.
that have two cars parked on both lanes,
Mhm.
which are congested, because biking and residents walking on the sidewalk
Mhm.
doesn't work out that well.
Right.
So how can we fit in a bike lane with these smaller streets
Mhm.
that have cars parked on both right and left?
Right, that's a great
That's-
question. I don't think,
that's-
we're definitely not recommending that these bike facilities on every single street. So we're gonna be judicious in like where they would be actually implemented. Find the most opportune locations so that there are fewer conflict points with, what the woman just said to us right now. So I appreciate, the concern that you had there. Thank you.
Is this a bike question?
Yeah.
Okay, don't go away, guys.
Kristen, Westbrook Drive.
Mm.
So I know Westbrook Drive was brought up a few times in
Mhm.
regards to bike lanes, and you also mentioned curb extensions. We currently have a parking issue in this area, right? We've discussed that at several meetings. So when you're doing your potential recommendation, are you taking into account the fact that we have parking issues? And how will your recommendations in regards to your curb extensions, your bike lanes, et cetera, how will that impact our parking issues and in a way that will still be beneficial for those of us who have to drive and park on the street for, multiple reasons?
Great, no, that's a fantastic question. So, that's where, it's, again, we'll provide initial recommendation, but then ultimately having the, when the actual facility is designed, having the community consultation to see what the appropriate design would be. Like, would that facility be continuous, or will the path end up between Westbrook, let's say Westbrook, and Briar's Ditch? Because you do have that green space. Yes, at some point it's going to fall into the water, right? So what is available right away to accommodate that? So is there going to be a redesign of the cross section to fit that so that we can preserve parking also to implement a particular facility? So, we're not saying that all parking is to be gone. It has to be a design that has to accommodate to all the concerns that the community
I
has.
just get concerned because if you look at DC and the way that they have implemented their bike lanes and their curb extensions, it has reduced the parking in the city, I think by 45 or 50%, in order to give bikers, their due. But with COVID and everything, there's not more bikers, there's more riders,
Yeah.
And also, does your plan include more footbridges for, Powhatan Street with Westbrook Drive, et cetera, in order to make those places easier to cross besides the existing crosswalks?
Right, great question. Yeah, we mentioned when we discussed the existing conditions earlier in the slide, you know, we recognize that Friars Run is a barrier. You only have those limited crossings, so where we can connect, particularly intersections are broken because of the water course, you know, that is also, you know, up for consideration.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other resident concerns on anything?
This is just, Cynthia Full Sweet Long Branch Drive. Comment about Carrollton Parkway, right? Right now, people only park on one side of Carrollton Parkway, but it's a two-way street. So adding a bike lane as it stands right now, sometimes you have to stop to let another car come by if it's a bigger vehicle. So adding a bike lane is gonna shorten that even more.
Right. So it's we're not saying for every segment. It's the point I was trying to make earlier is just the roads that are against the water courses at Briar's Ditch or Briar's Run throughout the city. So but yeah, Carrollton Parkway is only on one side of the water, right? So
Right.
yeah, so that's probably not the better example, but yeah, Westbrook certainly is
Okay.
the more indicative example, where it's two-way, like
Mhm.
Carrollton Parkway, those segments, that'll be a bit more difficult.
All right, thank you. And I will add, if you haven't seen the study, the pictures are worth 1,000 words each one. Some of the problems we face with working with this. But thank you, guys. We're going to move on to the next part of the agenda. I think we got covered residents' comments. And now we're going to talk about the compensation study proposals. I have
Mr. Rosenberg.
I'm sorry.
I'm not getting you. Well, they were really good. Can we
And you can't
switch
hear me with
mics?
this mic? This mic is dead? Did I get the other mic?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
switch it and we can troubleshoot that one.
Okay.
Why don't we put that one here? Because I'm closer to you, so you'll be able to hear
Okay,
better.
now is this one working okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we got some technical issues. But what I want to call the council's attention to, and it's in the packet if you have it, is that there's a summary sheet in here of these 6 contractors. It's in our packet. And if you need to do additional homework, I have every proposal right here in a notebook with the names on them ordered. If you want to look at the proposal, I have them here. And the last time we ended by saying we were going to do our individual rankings of which ones we would put on the top down to 1 through 6. So I think I'll let you guys take turns and I'll go last. And Agnelli, if you can hear me, you want to go first?
Well, I wanted to explain, I asked Maisha to
Okay.
put us that piece of paper so we could give our rankings and visually help each other
Okay.
besides trying to remember. So do we have a secretary? Okay, thank you. So start you, Cynthia. Which one is your, you want me to do ranking? Okay, so when I did my ranking, I took proposals, I ranked them across what the proposal told me they were going to do and how it aligned with the RFP. Then I ranked them across cost from the least expensive to the most expensive, and then I ranked them across time. How fast are they saying? And I gave them numbers. So my number 1 would be BRC. My number 2 is PRM. Okay, I don't know if
Number 1.
BRC.
Number 5.
Yeah,
Number 5.
One. And number
So you have to
1.
make a number 1 so that we know it's someone's number 1.
And PRM would be number 2. Okay. Number 3 would be Bolton, and I would just say that's enough for me.
Yeah, I think somebody, Cynthia, you put your rankings way up there. What do you have?
I want to tell you, I read all of it. And my only problem was, we fought to get somebody to come in here to write our RFPs, to read them and get them back. And now I'm going behind them, reading and getting back. And did we ever get that person to come in here and tell us what they thought about what it was? I had mine, but let's go to everybody else, because I know I have
Okay.
a problem.
Lincoln, you have some rankings. Let's do yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. PRM Consulting was my first. And I had Gallagher as my second,
Compliment.
and I had MGT as my third.
Number 6.
I ranked them all. Let me keep put them all.
No.
Oh,
No, I think we're gonna stop.
Top three is good.
I think one of them we can scratch immediately at $100,000, but the CPA firm, it's not just price, it's a CPA firm. But anyway, Brianna, what are your numbers there?
My number one was BRC. My number two was MGT. And my number three was PRM. I only ranked the top three because I didn't like the other ones at all.
Okay, and I just ditto Brianna. That's exactly where I came out. BRC, and I can tell you why, but I'm not gonna have time to go into all, but no, BRC is number one, that's number 5.
Yeah.
BRC, that's my number 1. And number 2 would be MGT.
Cynthia, you put number 1 at PRM.
I would make the 9 too.
Oh, that's
And at
your.
PRM, that's 2, and then give me number 3 for PRM. I did like PRM.
It's so funny, we had identical choices.
I really came out exactly like that. I struggled with 1 and 2, because I really do like,
I struggled with 1 and 2 as well. I
I
almost
didn't-
feel equal.
and it wasn't,
No, change that 1 to 3.
I think she said that's her number 1.
That was mine. This is her.
Oh, sorry.
okay?
What were yours then, Cynthia? I'm
I
sorry.
have PRM is 1. MGT is 2, and I had 4 as 3.
What number is it? I can't see.
Oh, Bolton.
Bolton,
Oh.
okay.
Okay.
That's why I said I'm gonna cause some trouble, because I see nobody else thought about it.
Well, they're all up there. I mean,
Lincoln had different ones too. Yeah.
So you
All right,
have
so we
3 for
got-
BRC already.
Yeah.
The BRC is the most number 1.
I think BRC's got plus number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Ranked choice voting here in New Carrollton. Who knew? This is how ranked choice voting works in cities that have that.
You got 3.
So I'm gonna tell you, and then the rest of
Nobody
you,
liked capital T solution.
well, Capital T was a CPA firm.
Yeah, no, I
They were
didn't.
really a fish out of water, in my view, speaking as a CPA. And the presentation wasn't,
It wasn't very good.
no.
And the price point was outrageous.
Well, the
Yes.
price point,
Outrageous.
like Nellie said, she rated price, she rated a lot of things. But I,
Proposal, price, and time.
And timeline, yeah.
Well,
I
I wouldn't necessarily say,
That's what-
now is the time between
Yeah,
the
okay.
top 2, I would say, or the top 3.
so there you got the 3 that are alive, okay?
Okay, yeah. this is the three
And
that
if
are-
anybody, well, you can start. Now, you gave us, well, you already gave us a good summary of how you did it, and it was very analytical. I appreciate your approach to it. Say, Arch, move to someone else. You want Lincoln to discuss first?
Well, this is kind of, I have a deep understanding of the RFP because I put some work on it.
I understand. Mhm.
I was really impressed with the way BRC responded to the RFP.
Mhm.
I am clear what documents they're going to give us, and they tie to the questions that I'm looking answers for. And so it's really easy for me to read BRT's proposal and say, okay, we get that report, answers that question. We get that report, we answer that question. And in general, I like the philosophy that they presented, and I think I mentioned it before. The organizational, this is language from their proposal. The organizational assessment serves as the bridge between historical compensation practices and the future focused compensation study. And they're telling us they're going to take information from the past to look at where we are and help us plan a better future. And there's other language in their proposal that talks about transparency. It talks about clear, defensible findings. They're going to give us that data that should be quantitative data, not my opinion on something or their opinion on something. So we can later, as a council, make some really difficult choices on how is the compensation plan or structure for the city employees going to evolve, because what we have right now is not working financially. That's how we ended up in this place. And the second element for me was time. BRC is saying we can do this in less than 3 months. It will help us work better with the budget planning if we get the information and the data sooner rather than later. So based on that, BRC has the best proposal in my eyes, the fastest, even though they're not the cheapest.
Okay, and that's one BRC, so let's switch over to somebody else, Lincoln. PRM man.
Yeah, my first choice, and as you know, Mr. Chair, you and I have discussed this, was PRM. I like their price point. I like the fact that they're a local company and their delivery date. They said they would develop the entire study in 4 months, and they could have a draft to us as early March. So that impressed me quite a bit. And their 5-point approach was, I thought, very impressive as well. They wanted to do a discovery, an audit of employee salaries and annual pay increases. Then they're going to do the organizational assessment, then the compensation program design, and then they'll deliver the study group. So that's why I chose PRM as my first choice.
Okay,
What's your number 2?
My number 2 was Gallagher, and it's not up there, so I'm not going to talk about it.
now we'll go back to a BRC person. That's Brianna. You want to have any comments about your selection
Sure.
process?
I mean, my process was very similar to Agnelli's. I think one of the things that we would have to inform them of is that they don't have as much municipal experience. They have their first government client right now, and that's a county, I believe, in Connecticut. And so they were shouting out names of things they thought were municipalities in Prince George's. I don't know if you caught that. They were like, we're going to compare you with Oxon Hill and Temple Hills. Those are not municipalities. And so they're going to need a little bit of education. So that was the weak point of their presentation, was that they're not, you know, people think Temple Hills is a municipality, but it's not. It doesn't have a government. So they may require a little bit of education, but I really liked their timeline, their pricing, and their response to the RFP. I feel like they really understood it. And I also think that the team was just very impressive in general. The fact that they had multiple people speaking, and I'll just throw this out there. I liked that it was a company that was predominantly Black. Like that's in opportunities where I have the opportunity to, you know, with equal partners across the table in a corporation, I'm always looking to incentivize rewarding contracts to minority businesses. So those were all my reasons. MGT, or we're still on first choices. First choices only?
Well, you want MGT is number 2, right? Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You can discuss it. Let's just do 1 and 2 each. Go ahead.
I really liked their price, obviously them being the lowest. Their timeline seemed a little slow, but I do think it could be accelerated given that their experience with municipalities looked like it was municipalities that were bigger than ours. And I think when they recognized that we only have 70 something employees, and I don't share the same sentiment as Councilmember Malave around the past analysis. I don't think it's super helpful, and I felt like their presentation was very forward driven, and they talked a lot about being able to assist us with the little tinkering that might need to happen afterwards as we were developing policy. And so I liked the forward nature of their responses to our questions in the presentation. So, but I didn't have I wasn't very strong BRC over MGT. I would be delighted with either one. That's all I got.
And then we go to Cynthia, who has another.
PRM.
Mhm. That was my.
I was,
Cynthia, can you look
Oh,
into
I'm
the
sorry.
microphone? Thank you. Yeah, I can understand you.
I was away in Florida doing this, and they were able to answer every question I had.
Which one?
PRM.
Okay.
And they had the people that worked in that area to answer my question, and that really impressed me. And when I was asking, would it be one group doing it, or are they doing it together, and they explained they had different groups to tackle each thing, and I thought that was good.
Okay. And I'll only add a couple things here that I, like Brianna, I really struggled with 1 and 2 between VRC and MGT. I sent her, I've communicated with all these folks since we've had these discussions by email and had some phone calls. And I asked the entire group, if we're looking at a 3 to 5 year, maybe longer cycle, and you're going to come back, if you came back again, would you, knowing our operations, have a favorable fee? And it was an interesting question. Three responded, and they all said they would give us a favorable fee once they know our operations. But one, I won't mention which one said, but keep in mind that year over year, we add a COLA of at least 5%, so it would be reduced after we add the COLA on. Others said we would even, one said they would even commit to a lower fee right now on a second engagement. I'm not sure we want a 3 to 5 year cycle, but with the one I chose, number one, I struggled with 1 and 2 between MGT and BRC, but BRC had that one person in the interview process, Harold, and he was a director of personnel for a municipality. I think he said for 10 years.
Gwinnett County.
Yeah, and the experience just screamed in his presentation. You could tell he knew the subject area and knew how to go about the project. And so that's where I come down. I come down with MGT on the top of the list there. And
Not
I mean,
BRC?
I'm BRC, I'm sorry, BRC and MGT, I would be happy with either. And it's funny, I didn't do that just because of price. It was the presentations and the package together. So, all right, now we can vote on this in the legislative session. And it looks like we will be proposing BRC. Is that correct? I got these initials mixed up.
Number one is PRM.
No, number one is
But PRM
BRC.
has the most, BRC has the most number ones.
Yeah,
There's three number
BRC has
ones.
the most number ones,
BRC.
3 number ones. So if we,
Yeah, BRC has 3 number ones.
Mr. Chair.
yes,
Okay.
Yes, it's held.
I mentioned this at the end of the presentation. I would like to ask the administration what
Oh,
the
yes.
costs were on the proposals that were
Okay.
received. Can you speak to that?
Mayor can speak to that.
Or the mayor?
you read all 6. Which ones did you like? What were your rankings?
I didn't,
You didn't do it.
I didn't rank.
Maisha, you're gonna work with them. Did you rank them in your mind?
I did rank them in my
Okay.
mind.
Where were you in relation to this council's assessment?
PRM was my number 1,
Okay,
MGT was my number 2, and BRC was my number 3.
you deleted the ones that we all deleted, pretty much. Okay, Agnelli, any further? Okay, we have a sense.
Well, the motion be when we vote, will it be to award BRC?
BRC, I would say,
Yeah, BRC, okay.
and we'll have 3 votes, so it should pass. 3 of us ranked at number 1, so.
Whip counting over here.
Okay, so that's that. Now, I want to pass this out to the council, a little interlude here. The mayor has appointed 3 people. One is a reappointment of 2, Eileen Hooks and BB Satter Wilson, and a fresh new appointment of Michelle Frisbee. We're going to vote on this tonight to approve her
Variance
appointment.
board?
What's
Yes.
that?
This is the variance board?
Yeah, so there's one for all of us. And,
And we
When
do
we
have
get to
an
the-
active variance request.
Yes.
right, I'm sorry, zoning,
So,
grant, and we can just put that in the consent agenda unless there are concerns.
Not at all. I move that we move it to the consent agenda.
Okay. Everybody in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye, that's okay. It's added to the consent agenda when we vote later. Caitlin, please. Then we're gonna move over to the report of the mayor and the department heads. And I'll let the mayor take it from there and assign the presenters.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to start our presentation with our chief of police.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good to be here with you. Can you hear me?
The mic
All right, I'll
closer to
move
you
it closer.
and facing you.
Right. How about that? Is that better?
Perfect.
Great. Good evening to you. I'm gonna start, by talking about overall crime in our city and our status. Few residents have mentioned to me that they wanna know what's going on in the city. And I heard you. And, here to address that. Many of the things we've seen, we looked at a comparison of January of 25 to January of 26. For our reporting and things we received. We've seen that, more recently, our calls for service have gone down. Many of them were premises checks, partly because of the recent weather we had.
But overall, I see the city as a safe city to live and to visit and to do business with as well. I see no prevalence of gang activity in the city. I've seen that in my previous city. One of the things I want to talk about as well is that we're definitely moving forward with our collections of past due collectibles for automated speed and red light. Friday, we'll be meeting with Municipal Collections of America, and we'll be mapping a path forward to go after those collections. Our package has been turned in to Prince George's County Council for our upcoming automated stop sign enforcement. Hopefully that will go before council in their next meeting. But we want to try to follow up with the council members. Councilmember Olson's office hopefully can make sure that gets before the council. We're just invited tomorrow at 1 o'clock. The county executive going to have a meeting talking about their policy on ICE and their immigration policy. And I have a message that I've included in the package for our residents. I want to address concerns that we've had in New Carrollton about interactions with immigration with ICE. The New Carrollton Police Department does not actively assist ICE agents in the enforcement of federal immigration laws. Our mission remains clear and unwavering: to serve and protect the residents of our community. We're committed to fostering trust, maintaining public safety, and ensuring that every member of our community feels secure in contacting and interacting with our officers. We've often seen that people who may not be documented have feared law enforcement. They may be victims of crimes and have feared coming forward. We need you to come forward. We need you to know that you can trust us to help you and assist you in any way we can. If an incident occurs in the city of New Carrollton, the men and women of the police department will respond directly, will respond promptly and professionally to protect the lives and safety of all of our residents. While we cannot interfere with the lawful federal operations conducted by ICE, we will continue to fulfill our responsibilities to safeguard our community and uphold the law. Public safety is our highest priority. We encourage all residents to continue to report crimes, suspicious activity, and emergencies without hesitation. Our officers are here to protect you. And we thank you for your continued trust in our partnership with us. And that is my report.
All right, let's do the questions at the end. Who's next, Mayor?
Public Works, Mr. William Bartley.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Yep. I have one major update is invasive species. We are completed Beckett Field for invasive species, and we are working on City Hall, finishing that up. Now we do have Mahoney Woods. We're gonna kill all the invasive species out of Westfield and Bicentennial. If you're not aware, we do have a grant for $250,000. Part of it is to remove the invasive species, and the other half of the grant is to plant trees back where we do remove the invasive species. So that's the only major thing we got going on besides the snow. That's gone. But yes, and another key point is we got over 800 trees inventoried in our system now, so that's a great thing. We moving into zone 2 as well, so you will see someone throughout the city surveying trees and assessing them within our system. Thank you.
All right, Mayor.
Last but not least, Ms. Williams, for administration.
I want to thank everyone that came out last night to the New Carrollton Library for our Safe Streets presentation. If you have not filled out the Safe Streets survey, I do have some paper copies here tonight, but then there's also a QR code that you can scan it, but hopefully everyone here in this room has already done it.
But if not, you can also take some to your neighbors that have not done it and bring them back to us and we'll get them into the system, for them. The survey ends on Friday. As we talk about public engagement, we have just partnered with the University of Maryland. You know, they do the grad school projects to work on citizen engagement. So hopefully we can get more than, I know people tell me 60 surveys is great and 300 last year when we did the other one, but Maisha being who she is, I want higher numbers when we go out and do the reach. Because I think if we have a greater reach, then we can really start working on what that strategic plan looks like over 5 years, what capital investments we're going to do and things like that. So I'm really excited about partnering with the University of Maryland to work on the citizen engagement. They did the interviews with select employees, council members last month on the traffic study. I did reach out to them this week to find out kind of where we are and when are those results going to be coming back. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we will have some finalization. He has to get the interview feedback together along with the surveys and then from when they did their ride arounds. I also checked on the bridge studies. They have completed 2 of the studies. They still have 1 more major to do, and they have sent the information to the county on the smaller bridges. And we did reach out to 6400 Lamont today, and actually she responded back. Hopefully that sale will happen within the next 60 days.
Oh,
wow. But she told us if they have any problems to still reach out to her. I was just glad that when one of our employees reached out today, we actually got a response back on the same day. So she was glad that we are keeping the dialogue together. So hopefully we will see. But their plan is to just invest, spend, and then they're going to sell it. So this is not going to be a long-term thing. I did also, for Mr. Rosenberg, my numbers person in the packet, I know there was some conversation on what the parking data information was that the police had presented. So I did take this month's report and highlighted this fiscal year along with my Excel spreadsheet and the 2 OpenGov reports, one showing what the gross revenue is along with the actual fees, and everything comes out to the penny. So that is included in the packet. And we are now also, we have what we call a project code for parking. So then that way too, we can always run reports on just, and we're doing that for a lot of things in the system now. But OpenGov allows us to assign project codes to things so that we can peel out those expenses to do reports or revenues. But then it still is in the bigger number overall. That's it for me.
That's it? You have anything, comments, Mayor?
Sure, Chair. Just wanted to say that we have seen a vast increase in our constituent services.
Oh, sorry.
Also, there's a helicopter over the.
Yeah, I didn't know. Okay.
Just wanted to say, thank you, Mr. Chair. We have seen a vast increase in our constituent services in the last 2 weeks, ranging from immigration services and issues to utility assistance to senior advocacies. We attended 2 funerals in the city. One is for a young life that started their life here in New Carrollton and lost it to an accident coming from Bowie, exiting on right off exit 19 off of 50. I've known him since he was in pre-K, so it was a little bit hard for me. He attended school with Greg, so pray for his family. They were up here the other day, and we tried to help in all the ways we can. Then we had one for a 90-year-old lady from Ian Street. And the family was very happy that we were able to come out and represent the city at her funeral. We're asking that during this last snowstorm, it was unprecedented. And we had a lot of challenges and we had some good reviews at the same time. But with any other city or towns or county in the state, this particular storm really hit everybody differently. So I want to thank all the residents who were able to bear through the process. I want to thank the guys from Public Works who were able to stay away from their family and stayed with us to keep us safe and to keep us out of harm. We didn't have any major accidents. We didn't have anybody with injuries as a result of the snowstorm. And I know we got from the county and from a few other departments, they were saying that they came through New Carrollton on Monday and Tuesday, and they were happy to see the progress that we made. And a lot of people were actually asking us to come and help them. There was a lot of people that called about the pushing of the snow that turned ice that kind of blocked their driveway. And we took those on a case-by-case basis in order, and those were attended to. Then we also had some people who said they had to go to dialysis 2 weeks from that date, but they wanted it removed like now. So it was kind of challenging getting to serve everybody over a period of time. We had some people that locked up a little bit more than others because of their persistency and calling, and some people got more attention than others. I just wanted to say overall, thanks to the residents for making it not as hard as it could have been. I know the county got a lot of beat up for it, but we didn't get too much. But I just wanted to say that if the more together, we can all achieve more. So if we work together with anything, we can always achieve more. Not to say that we can have some growing pains and do some things a little bit differently, but that we'll take that to the table. Also, during the same snowstorm, we realized that there were people that didn't allow others to have peaceable enjoyment of their own property. We had people that were shoveling snow and putting it on other people's yards, and that caused a lot of problems. We had to get the police involved in some of the instances. So I'm just saying, if we just be neighborly, that would be nice. We're still having our food distributions every third Friday, which one is coming up this Friday between 5 to 7 p.m. and the Ebenezer every first and third Saturday in the morning at 10. I know when people are locked in during the snowstorm, I guess we'll have more calls for service because of course they're locked in, have nothing else to do, so they get a little bit antsy. But we're just saying that if we as a community plan for, I don't expect us to get another snowstorm, but please just let us be nice to each other. Also in our homes. Even with this snowstorm, we have gotten like some of the businesses were saying they wish they could have partnered with the city to get help for their sidewalks, that the county and the state dump ice on their sidewalks, and they got scared that they were going to get fined, so they end up having to pay up to the tune of $10,000 to clear their sidewalks. So other people putting the snow on other people's property, just be mindful. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Now I'm going to turn it over to the council, and I will go last. And let's see who to start with now. Like, Nellie's probably not ready. Brianna, you have some questions for the mayor and the staff?
Sure, just a couple. Chief Alston, do you know if in the standing orders for the police department, there's a statement that's similar to the one you made tonight regarding our police not working as ICE agents?
We looked for that because the county council was asking for a response from us for the the meeting tomorrow.
Mhm.
So this statement was what we have now. Our city may want to consider ordinance. I know my past city of Mount Rainier.
That's
actually
exactly
had
where
an
I was
ordinance.
going. I wanted your feedback on that because I was interested in an ordinance, but I would rather do whatever's going to draw the least amount of attention to New Carrollton. So passing legislation to me seemed potentially like, dangerous. Standing orders isn't something that regular people on the street are going to hear about. Not that regular people on the street hear about the ordinances we pass, but they're more likely to. So what are your thoughts? Do you think an ordinance would be appropriate?
It would, but I can show you what was written in the city of Mount Rainier.
Yeah.
It's kind of subtle. It wouldn't draw a lot of attention the way it was written.
Mhm.
Because it doesn't, once you see how it's written, because we don't want to draw a lot of attention. I do agree.
Yeah, I'm a member of the Latinidad affinity group for MML, for the Maryland Municipal League. All Latino identified people and allies may join that group. And so our goal is to have 100% of the municipalities that have Latino elected officials, which is only, I think, maybe 12 of us, have something on the books. And I just wanted to know your thoughts on what the best way to go, because I want to make sure that we're communicating to our residents the information that you shared. And I really appreciate Chief Alston was able to help me with a victim of domestic violence who was very afraid to report to the police, and he came directly to investigate the issue himself. And so thank you for that. I wanted to give you public recognition for that. I have one other question, but it's for Public Works. Should I just keep going?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, actually, maybe it's not for Public Works. Who's in charge of the dormancy report? Is that Maisha?
Yes.
Okay.
And I can tell you all of this is a button that you click.
Do you believe it is accurate? Because we have two vehicles here that say that they haven't been used in 544 and 572 days.
Hold on.
And one of them is located in Landover Hills. It's on page 1 of 1.
Which one is it?
The bottom two, actually, on page 1 of the dormancy report. So I was just curious. I know that before in the past we had like weird inaccuracy that was populated. You feel confident that this is correct?
Let me look into those and I'll let you know.
Thank you so much. That's all I got.
It's the last two?
Yes, the last two, the two
Okay.
that have I mean, maybe we should do the last three because the bottom one has 233 days, which is quite a long time.
Okay.
And these are all police vehicles.
Mhm.
Let's see, Lincoln's next on the list here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will start with Public Works as well. Mr. Barclay, do you use brine or salt?
Combination of both.
Combination of the two. Okay. That's what I thought. The other question is a follow-up to that. Hopefully we don't get any more snow. But do you have adequate resources and reserves available just in case we do?
Yes, we did.
You didn't use up everything that.
No, we didn't use up everything.
The next question is also for you as well. You and I talked about your sidewalk plan for the city last night at the city's Safe City Action Plan.
Right.
And you spoke about your plan to address the trip hazards and then do an assessment and then also taking the recommendations that they give and doing another assessment. Can you speak to that and just give the public an update on that?
Yes. We are planning on doing sidewalks throughout the city of New Carrollton. We have 150,000 in the budget for sidewalks. We'll be doing the concerns list first, which was about 3 years old. And so we will be addressing them as soon as the weather break. And then we also will do our own assessment going around each zone and going street for street to see any trip hazards or depressed concrete. And the third thing we'll be doing is taking the tool design that we for Safe Streets. They already doing a full analysis of certain different areas through the city. We'll be utilizing that analysis to do the rest of the sidewalks.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Cynthia?
Okay, first, Mr. Barkley, I just received a text, wanting to know if you received the invitation to the meeting, the training session I was telling you.
But
No, he just asked me whether or not you received it. I just made sure I sent him the right. The one that for emergency management, remember my nephew contacted me, he wanted to know who was charging the call. You just want to make sure you got that. And
The one in Bowie.
no, it's not Bowie, it's in DC. In DC, correct. No, they sent it directly to him. They sent it to all the emergency people. They contacted me, asked me who it was in the call. And two, I was in Florida, and while people were contacting me, I did no complaints. The only problem I have right now, people that have a lot of snow in their yard, they're pushing it out in the street. I rode through today and they were digging it, because it's gonna take longer to melt. So they were digging it and throwing it out in the street, and I was just making sure that somebody saw that. And it's not supposed to freeze tonight, but I thought that was a little dangerous.
yeah. We have been going street for street, cleaning up intersections and things of that nature, but we will continue we jumped back on our invasive species project, but we trying to work a little bit back and forth.
It's gonna rain. It's tomorrow and Friday, so it will be all gone.
Is that it, Cynthia?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Now we'll come to Agnelli. You have any questions for the mayor and the staff?
I have one for Maisha and a few for Public Works. Thank you for the breakdown in terms of parking revenue and expenses. What I would like to see maybe for our budget discussion is the wages of the people that are working in parking enforcement and whether they actually is it generating revenue or is it costing us to operate the program? Because based on this, yes, we have almost $100,000 of revenue, but how much is in terms of wages? And I think once we get into the budget discussions where we should expect to see more granular detail in terms of staffing, it would be a more complete picture, something to think about when we get to budget. Okay?
Could I stop you at that point just a second, please?
Okay.
I really like to ask Brianna. Brianna, what do you envision the budget to show this year? I think I've heard you say every position will be lined up. Is that what you envision?
In the way that it's presented to us?
Yes.
So I had hoped that we would have discussed those chapters of the code that I had reviewed and marked up, because then we could have passed legislation. We still can, obviously, we could do it at the next meeting. The code already specifies what the budget has to include.
Okay.
Obviously, if the staff is amenable to do what we ask, then we don't have to pass legislation, but I think it would be good for us to pass legislation to delineate what we want. And so, yes, I do want that's what I would like to see, every salary in the city. But I just want to be clear that I was not looking to see last year when I made a very big deal of asking multiple times for the parking revenue, or parking, how much money we're bringing in versus how much money we're spending. We did get a number on the spending part from Maisha. She did give us those numbers. I don't need it to equal balance. Government isn't a business. Like it's not going to be about, we're not going to gain profits on things. We're delivering services that residents need, and parking is a public safety thing. So for me, I don't care if the numbers, if it costs a lot more money to deliver parking than we're bringing in, that's not necessarily something that I'm upset about. And I think that was the misconception last term, that I was willing to cut staff because it was costing too much. I just wanted to know, what are the numbers? I wanted to know what the numbers were. And so I'm pleased that the chief has provided us those numbers now.
Okay, well, back to the point you're in, and it's back to you. But thank you. That sounds like three of us who want the code unless the staff is going to do it without changing the code. But Brianna, I don't know how much work is involved and who's going to do that.
Well, I've already done all the work. We just need to discuss it as a group.
Okay. Okay, we can do that. We can do that in March. I think that's a priority, because I do think that's with the compensation study and all the discussion we've had, that's going to be a priority in how the budget is presented. We can't have one line for $2 million saying employee services. So, okay, we'll get back to that. You're asking questions. Go ahead.
I recognize the challenges of the snowstorm, So what I would like to hear from Mr. Williams is what lessons did we learn from this experience of things that we had not necessarily learned before, that concrete lessons that you have point out that could be done better next time.
Well, just overall, it was a communication.
So can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
So that was one of the things that I've asked, all of us to go back to that. So I don't know if just like, I don't know if, because we just started this conversation, so we want to include that in our report next, or in our department report next month.
Yeah.
So that it's complete with everything. So it's not just
Okay.
pulling.
So you're looking at what we did well in lessons.
Oh, I do lessons learned, yes, yes.
Okay, so look forward to hearing about that
Okay.
in the next meeting. Okay, Mr. Chief, where was that page? So this month or January's report has 8 citations issued for parking over 72 hours. We've talked so much about that. And so I was able to do a quick dig through the files. You're comparing it to January of last year where we had 4. And in December, we had 6. And in November, we had 8. What is the approach the police is doing right now? I'm gonna ask you, what's the approach the police is doing regarding 72 hours?
Our approach has mainly been complaint based. When complaints come in, that's when our parking enforcement officers go out. And then we put a warning on that vehicle. That starts our 72 hours. So if the complaint comes in, we haven't verified when we come there that it's been there 72 hours. So mainly it's complaint based. So many varied vehicles throughout our city that maybe, I know we brought up 7202 Long Branch, and that vehicle that been there so long. Has that been rectified?
He's in his driveway
Very good.
with
Very
the
good.
sticker on it.
Okay, thank you. But one of the good things is, so when those come in, we take them seriously and we'll come out. But as I said in a report a few months ago or a month ago, that it's not punitive in nature. It's more corrective and more education. Some people don't even know we have this on the books. It's the 72 hours. And I can tell you many years ago, I didn't realize the county had this because also know that the county could come into our municipality and enforce things as well, and parking as far as offenses. And so that's our approach right now.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, sure.
That's what I have.
That's good. All right, Maisha, I would ask on the report that shows budget versus actual. This is can a column be added for percentages? Okay, and then I would ask Mr. Barkley and you to look at account 5760, where we have 5,800, where we spent 221,000 of 287,000, which is about 80%, and we're about 60% through the year. So do you have a budget amendment plan for landfill fees? Because we're going to go over that.
Yes, so we're doing so anyone that's ever implemented an ERP knows it's a lot of an accounting system, sorry. It's a lot of work. So we're finally at a point, the comptroller, Mr. Wazir, and I think are finally at a point by the end of this month, we're going to be caught up. And so we wanted to then come with a full budget amendment. So yes, there will be a budget amendment in March.
Okay. And do you know if this is because we've collected heavier amounts of garbage than planned, or we just didn't budget accordingly?
I'll have to dig into everything
Okay.
so that we'll be
That's
ready with
percentage.
answers when we do budget.
I want to note on the parking information, I appreciate getting that information, but I went back to the budget that we approved last year, and there is an account that you referred to now that wasn't in the budget last year, so there was a new account added.
What do you mean?
But the council was given a budget last year, and it was municipal infractions, and that's where we were told all those things went, and that was.
It's still a municipal
Yeah,
infraction.
but there's a new account. There's a new account that's been added, which is good. I mean, that's what now we're accounting for the parking revenues now. In the revenue, there was a new account. I don't remember the number. I pulled my budget at home. I said, oh, that account wasn't in there, but it is there now. So,
It,
Well,
what
you have
he's
to
talking
remember when
about
you
is
went
the
to
code
GovDeal,
in,
okay.
in OpenGov. Yeah.
Oh, the project code?
the
well,
project
there was an
code.
account number too.
Oh.
There was an account number.
So numbers have changed
Changed.
because every single
Everyone has
number has
changed.
changed. When we went to OpenGov.
Go.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, but,
So
when
like,
I-
even like, now I'm trying to remember what our old number was. So even my department number, was 1510, I think is what administration was. I'm now 150. So every single number, because of number limits in OpenGov, has changed.
but when this discussion was originated by Brianna, we said, where do we find the general ledger? Municipal infraction.
Mhm.
That was several $100,000. Where is it? Well, that includes towing fees and that includes all the code enforcement.
Oh, yes.
It was all lumped together. And I'm saying it's good now, but I think it's being separated out, right? Because now we have an account dedicated to parking fees. So when the question is asked, we can look in the general ledger. We don't have to have you do special studies. I think that's the case.
So it's still municipal infractions, but it has a project code of parking.
Okay, and then, and that will only include parking. It won't include towing fees and code.
No, we're doing that
Okay,
to be able
so
to,
we can separate things.
yes.
That's good. And the last thing I had here is Mayor, she mentioned food banks, but the Moravian Church has a food bank this Saturday.
This Saturday with, District 22 and Good Intentions.
Right. So we can add that to the list. This is not the first or third, is it, today? Is Ebenezer this weekend?
This is not monthly. This one is just a
Ebenezer,
I
pop-up.
know, but
Ebenezer is this weekend.
this week, so Ebenezer will have one and the Moravian Church will have one. You go to two this Saturday.
The Moravian is at 2 to 4 with, Senator Washington and
Okay.
the delegation team.
Yeah, I saw the delegation team's gonna be there.
Mhm.
So if you want to see your state delegates and state senator, they'll be at the Moravian Church this Saturday from 2 to 4. We didn't do council announcements. Yes.
And I do want to, these last three vehicles on the,
Normancy?
were in accidents. So they're not moving, they're not, and they actually, I have sent a list to Sam Sarah, because this is just the Sam, dormancy is only Sam Sarah. I've sent them a list of all of the dongle things that they need to deactivate because I can't deactivate them.
So with those cars no longer are in our inventory, basically, they're done. Okay.
Legit has them. Actually, I think we've even gotten the checks.
Perfect.
Mine
We
is
didn't pick
3
up
or
some
4,
share.
It's 3.
because the 4th one says September, the one above that.
Oh, I'd have to go now look at.
Okay.
what-
No, I was
I
just
just looked at the
wondering.
last 3.
I
'cause that's
got
what
you.
she asked me
I was
for.
just wondering, yeah. 'Cause the
Something else
4th one-
that, Mr. Chair, that we've
Yeah.
talked about in the past, numerous times is that we wanted to see in the budget, and we should add that to the legislation if we draft ordinance, is the inventory of vehicles. So that we know like what the assets of the city are and how many cars do we have, and then maybe just like the year and the mileage so that we can anticipate when those cars will need to be turned over.
Well, we could add that as a schedule, but the budget is really the revenues and expenses. It doesn't include the assets. So it does,
Whatever we want it to include, so.
it does, it's different. We're talking accounting jargon now, but the budget is really the money in and the money going out. If we want to buy a new car, it goes in there, but you could add a schedule to the budget as an appendix and say, these are the
Yeah.
city assets. That's fine. Yeah.
That's what I
we could have-
meant.
Yeah, we could have that in there.
Yeah.
Okay, now. it
Mr.
looks
Chair,
like-
I just wanted to, respond to Ms. Agnelli
Okay,
about the code, the parking. So you have to remember that we have, like, for enforcement purposes, it's really for safety and quality of life. It is not say that we are using the parking person to generate revenue to pay themselves. Because if you look at the other departments, those people don't bring in revenue to pay themselves. So while I understand that we're singling out maybe parking or code in the past, these are to change the quality of life, safety, beautification, whatever of the city, not so to bring in money to pay themselves.
I didn't mean to imply that we needed to generate revenue because we're not issuing tickets just to generate revenue. It was just trying to get a more complete picture of what it costs, that part of the services we provide.
Yeah.
Thank you.
yes, Maisha.
And 163 is also no longer,
No longer with us?
yes.
Rest in peace.
No, it looks like I jumped ahead because I've been reading this budget versus actual report. I was thinking it was part of the the administration's report, but I think pointed out one account there. Has anybody noticed anything else in there that I'd like to talk about? It looks like Lincoln has some questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Aisha, on page 4 of 16, midway down the page for consulting services, looks like quite a bit is left over. Can you explain to me what that 344, 250 is for?
I will have to research.
Seems like
But
quite a bit of money.
I'm pretty sure between the parking consultant and the tool consultant, and I'm pretty sure that's where all of those funds are currently sitting.
Can you double check and
I will.
get back to me? Thank you.
It might be the bridge consultant. Is that
Well,
the big
I'm
number?
hoping that we've paid a lot of them. So I mean, but they may be something, we've done a lot with consultants.
Thank you, Aisha. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and Brianna, on that budget versus actual?
No, I thought, I kind of did the same thing that
Yeah.
you did, so I don't have any further questions.
Agnelli, you have any additional questions? But no? Okay, Cynthia? No, okay. And how about the bills? Anybody have any notes on the bills?
No.
How about the minutes? We might still get out of here and
Mhm.
get a vote, all right? The minutes are good. Item 11 is a procedural matter just to the council to approve that we hold public hearings on a proposed ordinance. So we're going to vote on that in the legislative session. Any comments on that while we're here before we get in the legislative session?
I just wanted, not necessarily on, I'm, totally in support of us having the public hearing, and I've gotten an opportunity to read the legislation, and I wanted to know if there was a chance for the council to have any meaningful debate in advance of the public hearing. And the reason why I ask is I have some proposed amendments, and I feel like if the council wanted to adopt those amendments, then we could present that legislation to the public at the public hearing. Obviously, we've just presented as amendments, like this is the legislation that was authored by Agnelli, and these are some proposed amendments to the legislation. But I just feel like it would be very rushed if we waited until after the public hearing for the residents to see the amendments that I plan to propose.
Seems reasonable to me. Agnelli, what do you think? You had your hand in that a lot. I mean, if she has proposed amendments that we should all read, we meet in March. I'd be glad to set aside some time in that meeting to look at those amendments together and see what we think before we go to a public hearing.
I'm willing to have a debate and listen to what you consider would be amendments. And if we do it before the public hearings, the public could speak on those.
Yeah, that's what I figured would be easiest.
So then that's an assignment to Brianna to
Yep.
get it to all of us, the amendments she proposes, and the assignment to us is to read those and be prepared to discuss them. And I will put it on the agenda, Caitlin, in our March meeting, which would be March 2nd, or I don't know.
Would it be
3rd.
possible for us to do it at the second meeting, just to give me a little bit of time?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I thought you'd want it earlier than later. The second meeting's fine.
Yeah, thank
So we'll
you.
do it in middle March.
But I'm
Okay,
gonna put a
Caitlin?
calendar.
We'll make a
invite for
note of that.
myself.
We have time
Yeah.
until April.
Yeah.
And when you do it, highlight the page that you made.
Oh, it's gonna be like like separate pages, basically. So I'm not gonna tear apart what you guys wrote. I'm gonna build on, I think.
Okay, I'll just make sure it's color coordinated, so I pick it up right after that.
Of course.
Now, Maisha has something on the calendar for us.
No.
No?
250,000 of that is the Safe Streets.
Oh, okay. That 344 that we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you,
I
Aisha.
knew it had to be a big one.
Appreciate that.
All right, we're gonna vote on that tonight. Let's see, we got that, the consultant, that was we talked about that. I'm just looking at my notes here. I think we covered everything. So we'll go back to the residents in the audience here, and I'll help Maisha. She's out of the computer. Tell me if any hands pop up on screen. Any residents want to address what we discussed tonight or anything else? You coming back, huh?
Yes.
All right, more bicycle questions?
Mayor.
Oh, give us my.
Oh, so. You want to come there?
I just have a couple of compliments. Chief, that report giving the year-to-date overall, very good. Thank you for doing that. That's very much appreciated. Maisha, I just wanted to offer as a suggestion because I was thinking last night too about the fact that we only had 65 people respond to the survey. Have we thought about doing robocalls to let residents know when there's a survey and to where to go? I mean, we collect email addresses. I don't know if we collect phone numbers, but have we thought about doing some type of robocall?
People don't want to give their numbers.
Yeah, we have, we don't have, we fight just to get emails.
All right, I
You're
was
you're
just.
thinking like a person with a landline too.
No, you can do, I give
Yeah,
robocall.
I get
on my
robocalls
cell
all the
phone.
Okay,
time.
so- okay.
My cell phone.
All right.
Man, what are you trying to
All right, thank you. I have both. I still have a landline. Anybody else want to address the council?
Artsy. Okay, so, my first question is for the chief of, oh, sorry. My first question was
Your
for
name.
the,
Oh, you put on
Your
the
name.
husky
Oh, they're
voice.
making you say your name again.
my name, oh, Kristen, Westbrook Drive. The first question was for the chief of police. I know you mentioned that you will not be helping it, what you determine to be unlawful actions by ICE. How will you be determining whether or not their action is lawful, in order to determine whether or not you'll be interfering or assisting?
If it's a long answer, I'm gonna hold us to
That's
the,
fine.
but Chief, you can get that to her. You can leave,
Okay,
Okay.
so the
I
next,
think that's a long involved answer.
no
It's not
worries,
that long.
no worries.
That's not that long?
Yeah.
It's
You
not
can
that long,
answer in a
Chief?
couple words, Chief?
Well, we'd have to assess what's going on there. Clearly, what we're seeing in our city is that, ICE is coming, and we've had an incident, which we can talk about briefly,
Mhm.
where we witnessed that ICE had to take someone in, and they're supposed to be focused on those who have violent offenders. Now, those who also may be with them that are not documented will be going too, which is unfortunate.
Mhm.
So we don't interfere with those things. But when they come, we don't request to show documentation. We can talk with them afterwards, as we've done for the recent incident that we witnessed.
Does that answer it for you?
Yeah, and I think any other question or follow-up we can address another time.
Okay.
Um,
No, you have 3 minutes.
I'm sorry.
So you can express it.
Okay, I know for Public Works, there were some posters put up for parking, whatever, about the traffic lines on Westbrook Drive. I was wondering, I know they never happened, so I was wondering if at some point they were actually going to happen, because we did clear our cars, but the lines were never put down.
No, we are planning on putting them back when the weather breaks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there any discussion about a new grocery store to replace the shoppers?
Military secret.
The mayor would know that.
Yeah.
If she tells you, you had.
No,
to-
they are in
Offer her
negotiations.
some
So.
skills.
Oh, the name.
Yeah, they won't,
Offer
we
her
can
some
only
skills.
speculate.
She'll tell them.
No, I'm not gonna tell you.
I hope it's not wet.
I got Skittles for you.
Oh, you got-
Oh my
Wait a minute.
goodness.
That's blasphemy.
Okay, now we have the mic and
Yes.
excuse me, you have your mic time. Your name?
Shirley Brown.
Shirley Brown, okay. Your street?
I'm on 85th Avenue,
Okay.
near to the Powhatan Bridge, which I love. Public Works. Is there any chance of painting the sidings that we discussed some months ago? Because they were like blocking visibility.
On the bridge.
Yes. Painting it perhaps yellow where people, or color where, or a design, our design or something where people's eyes go automatically to it and can see any vehicles or any oncoming traffic. Just because right now it's just concrete plain. I want to thank the mayor and the council, the administrative team. Really enjoyed the tool presentation done last night. It was very informative. The presentation, they walked you through step by step what their plans are. And what they plan to achieve to get their recommendations back to the city administration and the council. They showed maps of our area, the different zones, and then they interacted instead of having a podium where folks ask questions, answers given. They actually went around the room and individuals could personally speak one-to-one. And that was really good to be able to, get more information if you needed that type of one-on-one discussion. But thank you for that. I want to also say that this was a major snowstorm, as everybody knows. We only get them every so often, as everybody knows in this area. And we know, I've been around long enough to this area where half an inch of snow has shut DC down. I don't know if people remember way back when, So I think it was well handled. We had interruptions, but I was impressed that there were folks that took care of the seniors in my area, in the community. I didn't get any, ill remarks about anyone, because the seniors had already decided they were going to stay in. However, the necessity was just to clear the path of the driveway, walkway, entrance to their front door if there was an emergency. As far as I know, there wasn't any great emergency. And I'm so thankful that everyone is safe. I do have a friend who has a business in New Carrollton, and she fell on the ice snow and broke her ankle and had to be operated on. That's the only major thing that I've heard of.
You fell in earlier.
But
Okay.
nonetheless,
Thank you.
thank you. And I hope that we could work closely with tools and also prioritize having a supermarket intact. And I saw today that Value City is going to be closing.
Yes.
It's just a name change? Okay. Every year. Thank you.
You make me jealous that I couldn't be the tool designer. Tuesday night's my Boy Scout night. So I was with the boys listening.
You missed that birthday.
Yeah, I wanted to be at that one. I really did want to be at that one. And your comment about the
Lincoln was there.
half inch of snow, it always reminds me of Barack Obama's president when they closed the city down for a half inch of snow, and he said in Chicago, he called this Tuesday.
Right. But I know it's
Tuesday, not so.
way before
Yeah.
Obama's time, back in the 70s, where it happened.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
long before Obama.
Always, because no one was used
But
to
it got worse with the growth, more streets. All right, that's resident concerns. We have a motion, Cynthia, to
I
adjourn?
want to.
So Chair, just real quick, Irene Blade that owns 2 property. I know everybody know Irene. She turned 108 yesterday.
Oh,
She owned 1 property on Harlan. And so I'll get you the information. If you guys can give her a shout out, that would be good.
I know she did not turn 180. How old?
808.
808. 128.
Oh, no.
I know, you can't depend on that.
Oh,
Okay.
All right,
I motion to adjourn and move into a legislative meeting.
I'll second.
okay, all in favor? We'll call to order. We have the non-consent agenda. Lincoln, you want to do the consultant for us? Even though it wasn't your favorite consultant?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Why not? I move that the City Council of the City of New Carrollton award the RFP NC 2026-3 to BRC Consulting LLC.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? I'm an aye.
Aye.
We have 4, Lincoln, you're a nay.
You can hold that.
Okay,
Man, this is a tough one for me. Because it's a minority-owned, women-owned firm, I will change my vote to an aye.
okay, so Caitlin, it's 5-0.
Look at you people, being all progressive and carrying on.
So you sit next to me, it's good.
For that reason. And Agnelli, I'll let you handle Charter Resolution 2601.
Mr. Chair, I move that the City Council of the City of New Carrollton advance Charter Resolution 26-01 to public hearing.
I'll second.
Okay,
With amendment.
any discussion on that? We had it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Just in the hearing.
Okay, it's just going to hearing, yeah, so it's
Okay.
5-0. And we have a consent agenda which includes, on page 2, the minutes. And
And the
with,
variance committee.
oh, I'm sorry,
Yes.
I added that, the variance and,
So just when it gets read out, this second statement here, that could be the note.
let me see. All right, Cynthia, why don't you take that? You make a motion that we approve the mayor's appointment of those 3.
And the
I
minutes.
make, second one.
Oh, you got it? Okay.
I move that the city council of Carlton approve the mayor's appointment of Michelle Frisbee and reappointment of Eileen Hooks and Bebe Satar Wilson to the city of New Carlton Zoning and Appeals Board for a 2-year term, February 2026 through February 2028.
Second? I'll second it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
But
That's-
aren't we doing the whole consent agenda?
You should have read the minutes
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, you want me to keep on?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, that was in consent? Okay.
Finish all the
No,
other
we gotta
things.
finish. A, approve the city council workshop and legislative meeting minutes, January 7th, 2026. Council workshop meeting minutes, January 2026. Council workshop and legislative meeting minutes, January 21st, 2026.
Now we'll get a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's 5-0 on the consent agenda.
Chair, I'll move to adjourn this meeting.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0 determined before 8:50.
Bad?
That was fair. You would have done better.
I mean, too bad. Up and up. Yeah, rubbing off on you. When possible, I'm not saying like you hire black people who are not competent. Capital T, that kind of black.
You want these thrown away? These were the ones from.
Well, things are-
Let's leave it, 'cause somebody that missed a meeting might come and leave it.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
leave it over there. Let's put it further in the corner.
These are the ones from Fourth.
Yes, let's leave it
Okay,
because
you still wanna
sometimes people
leave them?
miss it,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, no worries.
We don't want to waste it because sometimes they ask for a copy.
Little tactile words.
Yes.